Hey everybody, it's Danny Bradley here with Moscow Minutes. I'm going to be summarizing the Moscow City Council meeting from February 7th, 2022. Let's get right into it. There were three main items that were discussed tonight. Number one was a code amendment that incorporates the use of e-bikes, e-scooters, and similar devices on city streets. Number two was an emergency radio professional services agreement. Number three was a recovery grant agreement for the 6th Street Bridge that was damaged by flooding in 2019. One of the things you might not think about all the time as you're biking around town is the fact that there is city code that regulates how you ride your bike. And as e-scooters and similar electronic transportation devices are being used more commonly these days, even in our small town Moscow, the City Council wanted to make sure that those were incorporated into the existing regulation of bikes and other traditional transportation devices. One of those things is the dismount zone, which is a zone in downtown Moscow where you're not allowed to ride on the sidewalks. You have to ride on the streets. And so these new electronic devices are also being incorporated into that. That was what tonight's code amendment was all about. One of the City Council's main objectives for this upcoming term was to resolve a certain problem that's going on within city law enforcement and the fire department as well. That problem is this. Officers are currently experiencing a 5 to 10% transmittal failure due to dead zones throughout the patrol area. Not only dead zones, but they also have to switch between multiple channels in a moment of crisis and emergency, which, as you can imagine, is very inefficient. Not only that, but it's also placing our officers and our firefighters in grave danger, in that moment of crisis if they're having to flip through all these channels to call for help and backup and things of that nature. So tonight, there was an agreement called the Proposed Professional Services Agreement, where a new system was going to be introduced that builds out a new, more efficient way of communicating with our officers, where they only have to go to one channel. Everybody's on one channel. It's a lot more efficient. It also takes away the risk of imminent harm and death for our brave officers and firefighters. So that was approved. So that new system is going to be put in place. The current estimate for the project is $3.4 million. $2.5 million of that has already been raised in funds, and they just need to keep going on that track. As some of you might remember, back in 2019, the 6th Street Bridge over Paradise Creek near Mountain View Road was damaged by some flooding that happened that year. The City Council had applied for a disaster recovery grant administered by the Economic Development Administration, or the EDA, to assist with the funding of the construction of a new bridge on 6th Street. So tonight, the City Council ratified acceptance of the grant award in the amount of $955,000, and they approved the associated council resolution that involved the details of how that was going to be done. And there you have it for the City Council meeting here in Moscow, Idaho for February 7th, 2022. Stay tuned for the next meeting in 2 weeks.